Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Anyone have any personal abduction stories? Or recounted tales from friends or family? The topic interests me quite a bit, and I've spent the last few years reading about and talking to people who have had what they believe are encounters. For the most part, the more believable stories are the ones where even the person telling it isn't sure what exactly happened. I would love to hear more of these encounters from other/X/users.
One of my friends was camping in the woods. He and his buddies were drinking and decided to go piss along the edge of their camp. It was dark out, so they all went at the same time, roughly 5 feet or so from each other. Anyway, my friend looks up through the trees and sees this light, like a spotlight just shining down on him. He could vaguely make out the rim of what was supporting the light via the moon above it. He asked his friends if they had seen it, and they had not. A few weeks later, July 2015-ish, he was skateboarding and fucked up his arm. A large gash from the pictures I've seen, bone deep. Later that night, he had a dream where he was walking down a hallway, sterile, hospital-like. The next thing he remembers is being strapped to a table with an arm moving up his chest. He tried to see more but was unable to move his head. He woke up and his arm was healed with just a minor scar from the wound earlier that day.
I was taken several times, beginning when I was 13. I remember sleeping in our old farmhouse, the top floor window nearest the barn. I was up all night because the tree branch outside my window, we had an apple tree, kept scratching the glass. All night, it would make this noise, and I managed to tune it out. When I woke up the next morning, the branch had broken clean off. I can't explain it, it just fell off, like one end had just disappeared somehow. I remember looking at the branch outside, and where it attached to the tree had just burned off, but without any burn marks, as if it had been vaporized like in those old sci-fi shows from the 50s. That was super weird. When I next went to sleep, I dozed off straight away. The only noise in the house at all was my snoring mom the next room over. I wish I hadn't, because I had the most awful dream. At least I thought it was a dream. Tall, thin men came into my room. I don't know how they got in. One minute, I was drifting off. The next, I was surrounded by them. They took me aboard their saucer. I remember it was a chrome affair, gleaming and round, just floating above our barn. And what they did to me, I can't remember much. But I do know I didn't like it. They prodded me with needles and other miscellaneous oddities, sticking them in my stomach and spine. Then I woke up in my bedroom with my PJ shirt on the wrong way. At the time, I brushed it off as me turning in my sleep, but over time, the memories started to return. The aliens have returned as I have grown older. My 18th birthday, my 21st when I married, almost as if to check up on me on certain occasions. Their motives aren't clear to me and likely to remain so. Oh, something interesting to add. I set off airport metal detectors even if I have nothing metallic on my person. Running out of space now, but there you go.
Finally realized how to do this. So a while ago, I said on a thread about my possible abduction, and I was seeking medical attention. I recently stopped seeing my psych due to personal differences. She also seemed to think I was making it up. So I'll quickly go through what happened. Former drug addict, 2 years clean. Last deer season, me and my brother went hunting for celebration. Split up at camp, go separate ways. I sit at the top of a hill looking through the trees for deer. I see a deer and hit it. It runs downhill near a stream. When it falls, I wait a bit then go to get it. As I walk down the hill and towards the deer, I feel vibrations run up my spine. I get to the deer, then I feel like a buzzing sensation, look around, and slightly black out for half a second. Look down, there is a deer all decomposed. I walked back to camp. See my brother talking to a couple of Mounties. This is Northern Ontario. Find out I was gone for 24 hours. They ask me questions about my past. I stole shit when I was on drugs. Got home. My family kind of rejected me thinking I was reusing. Did a drug test. Proved I was healthy. Now. Start having odd dreams of hunting in different times, like present and past. I start seeing a psych. We talk for a while. She decides hypno would be good for me. She tells me I went under. As she asked me about that day, I sat up, opened my eyes, and stared at her. She got me out and seemed shaken. She brings in a guy who I guess is really good. Puts me under and talks about how I may have possibly been abducted or maybe slipped and got a concussion. Concussion was to divert from abduction. So the whole time with the psych, my dreams get more and more intense. Until now. About a month ago was my last dream. I was in the present, like I was, with a mirror in the woods. All my dreams were in the same woods, just different time periods. They always had a deer. This one didn't. It had a mirror. I look in the mirror and notice my eyes are weird. I can hear like a talking noise down the hill. I slowly walk down the hill. The talking begins to become louder. I get to this weird-looking sphere and enter. I close and open my eyes in the dream. I am on a table with a man staring at me. His eyes are a weird color, and he begins to talk in a fucking odd language. The creepiest part was when I was replying in that language. My mind was on autopilot. I wasn't speaking, but I was. He begins to nod his head and smile and puts his hand on my chest. Then I wake up. That was the last thing. The dreams were almost lucid. They weren't foggy like most dreams. They were pristine, clear, like I was actually there. I was hoping someone could shed some light.
I have a few stories, be about 10. My parents are at the neighbors having drinks. My brother is out with friends. Wake up and go downstairs to get some water. Weird glowing lights all over the place and moving across the walls. Suddenly, I feel an unseen force grab me and start trying to lift me up off the stairs. Hold on to the banister but lose consciousness. Wake up 2 hours later on the floor outside my bedroom door. B16. Wake up to a weird buzzing sound. Suddenly, the entire room is filled with blindingly white light. Start to feel dizzy and blackout. Wake up what felt like hours later on the floor. B22. On the sofa, reading a book late at night, probably around 2 a.m. It's summer and hot as hell. Suddenly, I hear the weird buzzing noise again. Blindingly white light shines in from the kitchen. 3 very tall, thin people walk through the door. As they get closer, my vision fades. Wake up 2 hours later, standing in the kitchen. The book looks like it was thrown across the room towards the kitchen door. B25. Last week this took place. Waking up for about 2 weeks every night feeling like there is someone in my room. Catch vague glimpses of them, but my head feels heavy and dizzy, so I can't get up properly to turn the light on. As they get closer, my vision blurs and fades away. Wake up what feels like hours later, sweating and my entire body feeling like it is tingling. One morning notice a perfectly triangular patch of skin that is incredibly pale compared to the rest of my body. plan on photographing it with a good camera later that night. Forget, and the next day, it is gone. I have also found a sore hard area behind my left ear that has disappeared whenever I go to the doctors about it. Electrical objects have been turning themselves on and off, with the sound of the switches being played with clearly audible. Found some weird puncture marks, usually 3 dots in a line on my upper leg. They fade quickly though. Forgot one story to add to this. B19, on the sofa reading a book late at night, again around 2 a.m. because it's summer and too hot to sleep. Hear a strange buzzing sound coming from the kitchen. Go investigate. No lights this time, but I can clearly see a tall, thin person standing halfway up my garden next to the fence. The fence is about 7 feet, but only just reaching the shoulder of this person. Watch him for ages, but he doesn't move. Go to get the camera. He is gone.
Sort of. Here goes. This happened in Buchanan, Virginia, which is sort of in southwestern Virginia. Be my mom, driving home in the early 80s from her newspaper delivery route that she did in the early mornings. She's got a lot on her mind, because she's got to get home and get my brother and sister ready for school and wake up her then husband. She's driving down the dirt road almost at her house. Suddenly there's a huge machine partially in the road and partially in a field. Huge saucer shape with metal teeth going around the outside. Half of the teeth are pointed up and half down. There are lights all over it. My mom wants to rush home and tell her husband so they can investigate. She starts to drive around it. Flash of light. Suddenly she is located a few miles back on the road she was driving from. Doesn't remember anything past the flash of light. She's on the verge of tears because she's so scared. She gets home and my brother and sister are on the porch, all ready to go to school. About 2 hours had passed. It had been 5 and was now 7. She grabs her husband and makes him go check the road. Nothing. What? After she told me this story, I tried looking up different pieces of large farming equipment to see if that could possibly be it, but she denies that it was anything like that, and says it was made of a very shiny silver material that seemed to be. I don't know the word for it, but like, when something is hot and there are those lines coming off it, and it looks wavy? Like that.
Okay, I have this one that isn't actually abduction, but this one did scare me shitless. Note: I had been on prescription drugs that gave me an episode of anxiety that kind of rustled my jimmies for a while, and therefore I didn't sleep very well around this time, around 6 hours a night. I had been clean for a month and a half. Also, the drugs weren't hallucinogens. One night I had been in super deep sleep, the kind with no dream, just black, very resting. I woke up and sat upright for some reason. I was a little tired but well rested. This is the part that loses a lot of people, but look down at my legs. No legs. Look up in disbelief. Look down again. My legs were replaced by metal poles. Naturally, I flipped a shit. I couldn't believe it. Then suddenly I looked at my hands. Kind of thing you do when you can't believe shit. And I had no arms, which is weird because I had them just a minute ago. I looked away, and when I looked at them again, they too were replaced by metal poles. I was freaking so hard, then suddenly, look to my bedside. About 3 to 5 feet away, a short, kind of gray being was standing there, about 4.5 feet tall, facing me, standing next to some sort of machine completely composed of metal poles. The machine made no sense. It was just poles going in all sorts of different angles, but all connected, seemed to make some odd geometric figures in its structure. The machine didn't do anything. I just somehow knew it did something. Saw this, blink, open my eyes. It's gone. My legs and arms are back. Surprisingly, Jimmy's unrustled. I know, sounds fake, but it happened. I have another story, shorter and more recent if anyone is interested. This was some time ago, either the beginning of this year or somewhere around the end of last year anyways. Be in a deep sleep again, no dream. Suddenly I see very bright light, fade into deep sleep again, fade in, sitting in a dark room, thinking thoughts like, when am I getting out of here? Or, how long will this be? Surprisingly again, my jimmies are unrustled. Just remember sitting there, completely calm. Fade out again, fade in, see this light, kind of like a glowing rock. Like a rock, and the cracks in the rock are glowing orange, difficult to explain. But I remember it was very close to my face, and I remember telling myself to be calm and not freak out, or I'll stay longer. Get this feeling I'm floating down. Very strange experience. Was seeing the glowing rock thing. Then when the feeling of floating down started, it kind of floated out of my vision, as if I was falling back. See the glowing rock very close to my face one last time. Feel disoriented. Eyes slightly open. Eyes feel very tingly. It felt as if I was focusing on an object very close to me, then focused on an object far from me. I guess you know the weird tingly feeling your eyes get when that shit happens. Suddenly I became oriented, staring at my light switch. My light switch in my room is a dimmer, and when it's off it has this glowing orange light glowing so you know where it is. Became awake and became aware of what had happened. I didn't know if I dreamed, but the glowing rock thing was very vivid, even more vivid than life itself, and invoked a lot of strange emotion inside of me. Woke up the next day feeling like maybe something had been in me. Strange.
About 2 years ago, around 3 a.m., I let my dog out to go to the bathroom, stand outside waiting for the dog, feel lightheaded, black out, wake up on a metal table, try to get up, but my arms and legs are restrained. Where the hell am I? The room is all white with a light above me. Look up and see Tesla coil-type things pointed at the left side of my head and the right side of my head. See 2 grays looking down on me. What? Electric blue energy goes through my head. Feels like a burning sensation throughout my body. Black out. Wake up standing up drooling. The dog was already in the house. Don't know if I just fell asleep outside, but I doubt it as it was cold. I was only wearing underwear, and if it was a dream, it was too realistic.
OP here. Walked away from the PC and have come back to some incredible stories. I will share mine as well, the reason for getting into this. 4 years old, living in a small Australian town, across the road from a golf course. A clear night, no clouds, no rain, no storm. But over the golf course I can see what appears to be a line of electricity moving horizontally. The line stops, and for as long as I stare at it, stays in the one spot. Called to my mom about 5 or 6 times, but she just ignored me. Eventually it just disappears. Since then I have had regular dreams of people in my room. These dreams usually follow seeing similar light in the sky in the middle of the night. I can't really tell if I see the light in a dream or actually wake up to it, but guaranteed every time I see it I dream of people in my room. There is never any fear, never any panic. Whatever is happening, I'm not scared, and only people with similar stories believe me. Sometimes I don't tell them at all.
Too lazy to Greentext. Backstory. I lived a bit far from the city, there was a creek and a forest behind my house. In the forest, there was a clearing that was a sunflower field. We did live near an Air Force base. One night, a bunch of rainbowy lights started flashing in random patterns in the woods. It was pretty late and I was trying to sleep, but I kept watching. After about a half hour, the lights started flashing faster and became more vivid. Then, abruptly, the lights all went red, followed by a noise which I can only describe as metal being cut. It was really fucking loud, and I thought I saw fires start. It woke my parents up. But then it was silent, dead silent, and the lights went out. After a few minutes, I'm pretty sure I saw what looked like green LED flashlights flickering and moving around in the woods. I estimate that there were about 20 or so lights. Then they all convened on each other and turned into a single blue beam of light that was very illuminating and aimed towards the sky. I swear, the lights went up into a dark figure outlined by the stars in the sky. I couldn't make out the shape exactly, but it was not a disc. From out of nowhere, I heard the scream of jet engines and saw the afterburners of a few jets. The object in the sky vanished as I heard them. A few more jets passed by and caused sonic booms. I think I even saw some missiles fired. When me and my friends, they saw what happened that night too, worked up the nerve to go into the woods where the sunflower field was a flat patch of dirt, no sunflowers. And this dirt was very fine, very powder-like, almost looked like cocoa powder. I genuinely felt like we were being watched the whole time we were there. We never went back for at least a year.
I saw something over the course of a week. Northwestern tip of Michigan's Lower Peninsula. Back about 2006. I'm a city guy. Lived in heavily populated urban areas all my life. Even though this was a tourist hotspot, if you head 30 miles south, it was still secluded where we were camping. This was the first time in my life I saw a completely open sky, not obstructed by lights or smog. This was also the first time I saw shooting stars, and I saw many more than I could even count. Then I saw one that stuck out. I was watching a particularly bright star and wondering if it could be a planet or satellite or something. The star was stationary for a good 3 minutes. Then it dropped in an arch, like a perfect quarter circle, and stopped again. After about 30 seconds, it zipped off in a completely different direction out of sight. I was watching it with another guy, and we both just looked at each other. He came to this spot all the time and said he never saw anything like that before. A couple nights later, I was out on the water with 2 other people, and we watched for an hour as 2 similar things were up in the sky. They would be stationary with some distance between them and would shoot off in the same direction and fly in an S pattern where their course would intersect over and over. After they stopped at the other end of the sky, they would pause for a little bit. And then they'd head back to their original position, making the same pattern. This continued for a while. Eventually, on one pass, they disappeared out of sight for 10 minutes, but eventually came back to the same original position, doing the same pattern. Eventually, they were stationary for about 5 minutes. Then they were just gone. In the blink of an eye. Gone. Never saw anything like it since.
Probably not an abduction story, but I'll post it anyway. Be a kid, 10 to 11 or thereabouts. Lie in bed one night. Suddenly, a bright white light starts to shine through the window. Figure it must be high beam lights from a neighbor's car. Realize that doesn't make sense. My window is too high and too removed from the road. Also, I can't remember a car sound. Suddenly, black shapes of something in the darkness of the room. Don't dare to look at them, just hide under the blanket. Peek out from the covers a couple times. The room is full of shining light, casting dancing shadows around the walls and ceiling. In my kid mind, they are black imps flying around looking for me. All the while, scary music is playing loudly. The music is from the intro cinematic to Diablo 1 for some reason. Scared out of my mind, just hoping they haven't noticed me. Bury my face into the pillow under the blanket and lie completely still. Nothing more I can do. I feel overwhelmed and resigned to my fate. Fall asleep. I'm pretty sure I didn't have a fever at that time, and I definitely wasn't dreaming. While I always found the experience peculiar, I never took it seriously, mostly because of that element with the video game music, which made me dismiss the whole thing as an imaginative child's wild hallucination trip. But now that I've read up on abduction stories, I've noticed similarities to my own experience.
I have a story if you all want to hear it. Be me. 11. Falling asleep, but not fully asleep. Bright light outside of the window. Open the curtains fully to see what's up. Bright fucking sphere about 50 feet up. Oh shit, what the fuck? Close the curtains and run back to bed. Hid under the blanket 'cause I'm 11. Everything goes super quiet. It's quiet, too quiet. Giant flash of light outside the window. Blackout. Wake up the next morning. Can't remember falling asleep. My knee is killing me. Wake up with this scar on my knee. Can't remember shit. A friend of the family said it's a surgical scar. I've never had surgery on my knee ever. Any idea on how to recall these memories? Should I even want to recall these memories?
It was a dream, but it has scarred me for almost 2 fucking decades, so maybe there's something to it. Early 2000s, dream that I wake up in the middle of the night, hear commotion in the living room, the rest of my family is in a panic. They're all shouting and pointing to the window. The window is in the direction of an open field we live next to. Look out the window, see a tall gray motherfucker in the high grass looking at us. Oh shit, a gray. Hold up, this gray looks weird. It has no nose, it has no mouth. Its eyes are just huge black voids. It looked terrifying and not like aliens I read about. Look at eyes! Big mistake. Eyes fucking spark and start flashing me hundreds of images at very high speeds. Body felt like exploding. Tried to look away. My head and eyes snap right back in the alien's eyes. Images keep cascading at blazing speed. Too fast to even remember them. Can only recall seeing tree branches, a road, an old car. Head felt it was going to pop. Wake up. I was gasping for air in a cold sweat and my heart was beating like I ran a marathon. And that's it. It never happened again, but it's the dream that has stuck with me for years. Logically speaking, I could have just ate something bad, seizing or something, but that dream has always been in the back of my head every time there's an alien thread, vid, etc. My mind goes back to that tall, scary motherfucker in the field and whatever the fuck he showed me. Weird thing is that around that time this image and other gray pics would scare the shit out of me, but now they don't, and there's this weird feeling of familiarity instead, and I don't know how to feel about that. Thank you for watching my TED Talk.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.